What's going on YouTube? Back again with another video. And in this video, I'm going to actually show you how to set up the cron job for the Kdenlive rendering Java application. Stay tuned. Thanks for checking out the Almost Engineer channel. My name is Kenny. If you have not already and would like to get notified of when new videos about technology or DIY how-tos are released, please click the subscribe button below. So this is the next installment of the video series for building a Kdenlive application, a Kdenlive Java rendering application. And so the purpose of the application is to be able to transfer a Kdenlive archive project over to a server, and then that server will periodically run on a schedule. And when it sees new files in the waiting to be processed directory, it will render those files out and create the final output file. So in order to do that automatic checking to see if there are new files, I'm going to set up a cron job, and this is issue number 9 in the project on GitHub. So if you want a copy of the code, you can go to my GitHub page or GitHub project page. The link to the project page will be down in the description below. So let's get to it. All right, so I have already transferred my jar file as well as the properties file over to the destination directory that I want everything to be housed in. I've also created the folders, so archive, output, pending, and render folders that are needed for the jar application to work. So just to show you what's in the properties file. So here I have the melt path, which is user bin melt. And then I have a property for each of the directories. So you'll need to have this clearly defined. You don't necessarily have to create the directories before running it for the first time. If the directories are not found, it will create them, but they do need to be defined in the properties file. So once you have your jar file and your properties file set up on the server, next you'll need to do is run sudo apt-get update and then sudo apt-get install melt, and then open JDK 8 and the JRE, and I've installed the JRE headless. I'm not sure of the difference between just a regular JRE and a JRE headless, but the headless version is the one that I chose. And so you'll let that update and install. As you see, I already have it installed, so there's no further action for me to take on this one. So the next thing you'll need to do is to build out your command for your cron job. And so this will be a test to confirm that Java is installed correctly. First, you'll want to run java-version, and it should give you an output similar to this one. The Java version that this application has been designed with at the time of this recording is Java version 1.8. So you'll need at least 1.8 in order to run this application. All right, so the next thing is to build out your command for your cron job. So if you do not know where the full path is to your Java application, you can type in which Java and it will give you the full path to what Java is. And the reason you want to use the full path and not just Java is because sometimes when you run cron jobs, the cron jobs do not necessarily have all of the path variables or environment variables loaded. So it's best to give it the full path of the application that you're trying to run, as well as the full path to any other files that you're trying to call, to prevent errors from showing up when the cron job runs. So now that I have the full path of the Java binary on my server, next I'm going to check the full path for the rendering directory that I have created. And then so I'm going to enter in the command user bin java, which points to my Java application. And then I'm going to give it a -jar parameter, which indicates what I'm about to give it after this is a jar file. And then render server, the path to my jar file, which is home imadmin render server /jar, and then the full path to my properties file, which it is, whoa, in the same directory. Hold on, let me get this command typed back out again. Looks like I accidentally fat fingered something and the whole thing went away. That should be jar. All right, home imadmin render server jar, and then home imadmin render server Kdenlive.properties. All right, so I know this is not going to run before I hit enter, and I'm gonna show you why in a second and how to address this issue. So if you are running this on a headless server as a cron job, this will fail immediately based upon the properties file. So as I showed you earlier, and as I'll show you again after I attempt this, the properties file has user bin melt as the path to melt. But what I discovered on the first go around of running this is that the application will run, which is good, but then when it attempts to try to render it, it will throw an error stating that it does not have an X session or to use a fake X server. And so further research on this, I found that the melt process, the Qt module, as it mentions here, requires a graphical interface in order to output the video. So by not having a graphical interface to output the video or a window to output the video to, this Qt module does not work. And so if you try to render this and don't have a graphical interface or X11 environment available, your entire video will be a blank white screen. I tried it, so I'm letting you know, if you get the blank white screen, you probably need to work on your X11 to get it put in place. So I do see that this error here, it actually does give you the command that you need to run, which is the xvfb-run is the command. So if you do not have this already installed, you will also need to install this, as I had to install it on my server as well. So it's just sudo apt-get install xvfb-run, and that is weird because I just ran it not too long ago. Sudo apt-get install, that's correct. Oh, I'm sorry, it's not -run, it's just xvfb. It's the name of the package. So as you see here, it's installed now. So once you have that installed, then you'll need to go back to your Kdenlive properties file, and the command that it gave you, you'll need to add that in. So xfb, -a. All right. And so now my command will call, oh, I forgot the -run part of this. -run. All right. So the xvfb-run-a, and then it will call the path to melt. And that will resolve that issue if you get this particular error message here. All right. So now I can go and run my command again. All right, and so this LAD SPA plugins not found message, I'm not sure what that is about. However, I have been able to render without that. And so I actually do have some errors with this particular video. That's why these messages are showing up. And this particular message here, it seems to be harmless. I don't know why it's still throwing that particular message, but it does still render the video. All right, so after some time, the video will eventually finish processing, and you'll see it says it's done, and then it will archive the project file, and then it will let you know that it is done. And so if we go into the archive directory, and so you'll see the project that it was working on here is now done, and it's been moved to the archive directory. And then if you go to the pending directory, you'll see it's empty. And then if we go back to the output directory, we have our MP4 file. and you can actually see the size of said file, which is 44 megabytes. This is only like a 3-minute video, so it doesn't have much. And so if I copy this over and put it into VLC, you can see that it plays. So let me actually go ahead and do that now. All right, so I have the file copied over. And so here you see, here it is, a fully rendered Kdenlive video that's outputted as an MP4. All right, so now that we've confirmed that the video file has been output, the last thing to do is to set up the cron job. So take the command that you ran and copy it. And then you're going to open up cron tab and do cron tab -E. All right, and so as you see, I've attempted to do this once before, so I'm actually going to remove that line. All right, and so the way cron tab works is you give it the minute that you want it to run. And so I'm going to do 23 minutes after the hour, and then you give it the hour that you want it to run. And so you can do this in one of ways. So you can have it run every hour, which is represented by a star, or you can have it run like every 2 hours. So it'd be star divided by 2, or some other kind of way. So I only really want this to run, well, I guess I'll leave it at star. And then the day of the month, so I want it to run every day. And then the MON, which is represented by the actual month. And then the DOW, DOW, is the day of the week. So I want it to run pretty much every day, 23 minutes after the hour. Every hour. All right, and then so I'm gonna put it inside of parentheses. Whoops, looks like I need to go back and get my command again because it did not copy. All right, so copy and then go back. All right, and then so in parentheses, I'll put the entire command that I use to run the process. And then I want to log this file or the output from this process. And I want the error and the standard error and the standard out to go into the same file. So I'm going to use the 2 greater than &1 and then close the parentheses and then greater than, and I'm going to give it where I want to put the log file at. And so I'm going to put it all in the same directory as the jar and the properties file. So output.log. And so this will give me the latest log file. If you want something more dynamic, you'll want to use something with the date in it. So that way, you know, you can keep track of each run and the time that it started. All right, so now that I have that in here, I'm going to save and exit. And so if I come back 23 minutes after the hour, there will be a new log file here in this directory, and I can check the contents of that to see what all it has done. Hopefully this video has given you insight on how to set up the cron job for the Kdenlive Java rendering application. If you have any questions about this application or how I went about building it, drop those in the comment section below. If you do not want to leave a comment in the comment section below and just want to chat with me directly, you can hit me up on social media at almostengr on Instagram or Twitter. Thanks for checking out this video. If you have not already, please be sure to subscribe.